As I was saying, we would like to now invite our precious little kiddos to go to the back and follow our awesome volunteers to a kids program that they have prepared for them. Welcome, good morning. I am so honored to be here this morning. I was not expecting to be here. I was supposed to be in Haiti today. And I feel like you welcomed me back home with the sense of no air condition, same as it would be in Haiti. So if you were in church in Haiti today, it would be about this hot. So I'm just setting the stage for you. And I'm so grateful to be here. If you don't know me, my name is Jen. I am not married to Todd, your pastor. I feel to set that straight. He is married to my identical twin. And I often feel like a visitor here because I travel with Coming Alive Ministries a lot of Sundays, different places. So I do belong here, and I'm so honored to be here this morning. So I wonder if you've ever made a plan. Any planners among us? I am not a planner, but I appreciate people that are. And I wonder if you make a plan, and sometimes you can easily decide, this is the way the plan's going to go. I have this plan, this is how it's going to go, and even sometimes those plans feel very much like they have to be God's plans too, because they seem like good plans. Anybody ever made a plan that seemed like a good plan and you thought, well, surely this is God's plan, and then the next thing you know, everything about the plan changes? Anybody? Well, this past week, we as a team, I would love to show you, I have a little picture up here. There was a team of 21 of us. This is at the Atlanta airport. We had left Madisonville at 4:30 that morning. Arrived at the Atlanta airport, we're all bright and shiny in our nice "Here Am I, Send Me" shirts. That's from Isaiah chapter 6. We had our "Here I am, send me, Lord, here's my plan." All 21 of us are going to go to Haiti. We're here for you to send us. It's God's plan. And in our plans, we had a lot of meetings. Apparently I didn't go to one of them because I'm a meeting rebel. They had a lot of meetings where they made a lot of plans about what they were going to do. This was my 9th time to Haiti, my 3rd time to join this team and go to a village called Les Anglais, which is a very remote village in Haiti. And in our plans, we were going to go do VBS for 600 kids. Imagine that, arts and crafts with 600 and about 10 volunteers. Imagine the mayhem. And we were going to go do VBS, and then in the afternoons we had planned a special needs camp for adults and children, and we're going to visit widows, and they do this every year. These seemed like good plans, and so therefore they had to be God's plans. And our "Here I Am, Send Me," we knew involved some risk, some uncomfortable things, like the fact that we pack our meals for lunch, which means a lot of tuna in a bag. There's like 150 flavors of tuna, if you didn't know. And it would mean no air conditioning. It would mean maybe some cockroaches or two. But our "Here I Am, Send Me" step of faith did not involve what ended up happening. I wonder if you've ever had a plan and watched God's plan unfold instead. Because Ephesians 3:20 is one of my favorite passages in the Bible, and it says this. It says that God is doing more than we could ask or imagine. And He is a God who is above our imaginations. And I have a big imagination. And so I went to Haiti with this team thinking, this is what it's going to look like. This is what God is going to do. Well, the Lord's ways, His more story, is for His glory, not our own. And God's more story, as we landed in the airport, we did not know we would be the last plane allowed into Haiti. Because as we landed, at the same time that we landed in the airport, the Prime Minister or President, I can't keep up with the politics, so forgive me, don't research, just trust me, somebody important, decided that during the World Cup halftime, which Haitians love the World Cup, guys, and they wanted Brazil to win, and they did not win it, so therefore the Haitians were mad. At the same time Brazil was losing, the Prime Minister person made an announcement that the gas prices were going to go up to about $20 a liter. If you can imagine an already desperate and poor people getting that announcement, mass chaos occurred. But not your typical mass chaos that you expect. What began to happen is the people protested by beginning to set up roadblocks across the country. And when I say roadblocks, what I mean is they put boulders and burn things and power poles and people with guns, and they said, we're not going anywhere until we get what we want. Well, we arrived just as this was happening. This was not in our "here I am, send me" plans. Our plan was to drive about 3 hours to a nice little place that was on the ocean. We would swim for a while, spend the night, and then go the next hours to the village we were going to. But what happened, we're in the back of the Tap Tap, which I'll show you a picture of. We loaded the truck at the airport. This is the Tap Tap, our luxurious limousine. And we are loading that, we get on it. We have no idea what's going on. We're in the back singing. I have no idea why, but we took it back to the VeggieTales and the cheeseburger song was playing. And we're singing out just loud, and we don't realize we're turning in circles. And the roads are blocked, and we don't know what's happening. And the next thing you know, we find ourselves at a guest house, a safe house called The Walls. We go inside, and our guide, Italy, tells us there's mass protests broken out. You're going to stay here. Well, I thought, no big deal. We'll get on with the plan. It's not a big thing. Because we said, here I am sitting. We have our plans. We have our VBS. We have this thing that we're going to do for God and His glory. And we didn't really sign up for a real big risk. We're ready for this. And so I thought, no big deal. So we just sit in this guest house, and we're like, okay, we'll just watch and see what happens. About 20 minutes later, a van pulls into the guest house with 4 very shaken, scared American women who had been trying to get from a clinic they were doing that was God's plan that they had, or their plan was to do a medical clinic. They were coming home, got stuck in these protests, and things got violent fast. And when they pulled in with their windows broken, every one of their windows in the van were guns and bricks and boulders and had been thrown at them, and where they had driven over fire to try to get to a safe place, which is where we were. We knew that our plans may not turn out the way we expected. And I saw their shell-shocked eyes and their faces and what they had been through, and just began to pray, Lord, what is your glory in this story? And things began to get even more crazy when they began to set fires outside our walls. I'll show you a picture of that. That's where we were saying those are the fires that they were setting to get our attention. It did. However, I will say, when you're stuck behind walls, we did have a deck of Phase 10 cards. I never want to play Phase 10 again because I played 750,000 rounds and only won once. But the Phase 10 cards will forever be in my memory because they now have flakes of burning rubber where the tire burned and came up over the walls. But this is what was happening outside our walls. And so we began to realize quickly, we were told we can't go anywhere, shelter in place. We thought one day, 2 days passed, 3 days passed, 4 days passed. Where the chaos was so great, the embassy said, shelter in place, don't go anywhere. They began to talk of rationing our food. And I'm like, great, only half a bag of tuna. They began to talk of all planes were not able to come or go in Haiti. And there is nothing like the feeling of knowing you cannot control what is happening in front of you. And I just wonder if you may not have found yourself behind burning tires, behind walls, but I know for a fact that everyone in this room has had that moment where you feel like everything is out of control. And the good plan that you had, that you thought was surely God's plan, wasn't unfolding. Now what do I do next? And what I learned in that moment is what you do next is you pray and you ask God, what is your more story for your glory in the middle of what you're doing? So today, maybe you're in a situation where things are not turning out like you had planned, and you're wondering what God is doing, and you're afraid. I want to tell you that God is not surprised, He's not confused, He has not forgotten you, and His more story is working out for His glory in the midst of your story. So, we are sitting there behind the walls, and I was not really afraid. I kind of was living in denial about the whole thing. I like to be poly-positive. And also I wanted to be positive for the team because I'm the well-traveled one. I've been to about 30 countries. They kept asking me, what do you do? What does this mean when they raise the travel warning to a 4? I'm like, I never read the travel warnings. I don't know. And then they asked me, what happens when the embassy says shelter in place? And I'm like, well, that's never actually happened to me. And so we just began to pray, Lord, what do we do here? What do we do? What do we do? This is 21 team. Most of them, let's be honest, they're from small town Madisonville. This is not happening every day in Madisonville. And we had teenagers, we had people in a first mission trip for a 79-year-old woman. Can you imagine? And we began to turn on the CNN news, and when your place where you're staying, everything you happen to see on CNN that happened with them blowing up car dealerships, markets, storming the Capitol. All of those things happened 5 minutes from where we were. We heard gunshots. We smelled burning tires. And one morning I woke up, I'm reading the Bible through in a year, and Psalms 43 was what I was supposed to read, and this is what it says in verse 2. It says, "You are the God in whom I take refuge." And I read, dug deeper into the word refuge, and this is what it means. It means being sheltered from pursuit, danger, or trouble. Shelter, protection, safety, security, sanctuary. For you are the God in whom I take refuge. And what I began to realize is we were stuck behind these walls wondering why we had paid so much money to fly to Haiti and raise money to go take what our plans were. We wanted to get to that village. I began to think, Lord, what are you teaching me here? And he so clearly whispered to me, Jen, where do you find refuge? Because it's easy to think we can find our sanctuary, our shelter in things, walls that we protect ourselves with. I was thinking about the things I can find security in. I really like you to like me. So if you don't like what I spoke about today, don't tell me. Tell Todd, and he won't tell me, because he knows I like people to like me. I really can find security in making sure that I please all the people in all the ways. Or I can find security in relationships or friendships or feeling important in ministry or you name it. I can find my refuge in a lot of things, and you can too. But what is it when God is my refuge? That is the one thing that doesn't change, no matter if things are burning or the country is in an uprising. When He's my refuge, He's the same as He was the day before we left at 4:30 in the morning with our plans. That were not God's plans. They were good plans, but God had a different plan. So, I wonder, what is your wall of protection? Because sometimes we build our own walls. So we're behind these walls for days, wondering if we'll get to get out to the village. We got the most heartbreaking video on Monday of the 600 kids that had come from BBS that had waited all year for us to come. Sitting in that place without us. We were like, Lord, what are you doing? But He just kept reminding us, I am doing a more story. I just want to encourage you today, when things feel out of control, not as you expect, when everything is crashing around you, you have a God who is your refuge. Our refuge was not that we could get a plane home because we couldn't. Our refuge was not that we could leave and get to the village because we literally could not get there. Our refuge was not in anything other than the fact that God is who we can trust and that He was doing something for His glory. So then the next passage the Lord had me read a couple days later is Psalms 46, which says, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. God is our refuge and strength. And it goes on to say in verse 10, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. God didn't need us to be exalted. He just wanted us to watch Him work. And He is doing that in your life. Your story is for His glory. And it is more than you can ask or imagine, but it doesn't always come out the way that you expect. So we begin to pray, and on Tuesday, we embassy kind of said we cannot advise that you should move on, but they didn't say you have to stay. So we decided after much prayer to make a run for it in the early wee hours of the morning to go to the village, 10 hours away. And when I say 10 hours away, it's not like a 10-hour trip like going to the beach 10 hours away. It's in that back of the tap with crazy roads, and you bounce more than you ever thought you could bounce before. But we just decided and felt that God was calling us to make a run for it that Tuesday morning. But I'm going to tell you that there was a moment I wanted to stay behind those walls because that seems safer. And I just wonder how you feel about maybe wanting to stay behind the walls of your own security that you've built, because that feels safer. But God was calling us to trust Him beyond the walls and trust Him to be our wall. And I'm asking you today, you may not be in this situation, but the situation is that you are in. Will you trust God to be your wall? instead of the things that you build up. Your job performance, your bank account, heaven knows I can't trust in that. Your ministry calling, your husband, your wife, your kids being good, all those things that you can build up walls of protection. Will you trust? I'm going to step beyond those walls, and I'm going to trust God as my refuge and strength. So we did. We decided, we made a run for it. And I'm going to tell you that there was some fear in my heart as we left. And we had we would see the roadblocks. But fear is a liar. That's what I learned. Fear is a liar, and we have to take our thoughts captive and trust in what God is calling us. So we took our 10-hour journey to Les Anglais, and we got there. And when we were greeted with the most excited, the whole village just so excited that we came like we said we would. Because this is the highlight of their year. They live in desperate poverty, and Harvest Field Ministries that we partner with has started a school there, and we partner with the church and an orphanage, and God is at work there. But this was the week that they had waited for. And so we got there, and we were able to have one incredible day of ministry. One. Where we got to do VBS, all the kids showed up. It was so much fun. Mass chaos. We did 2 crafts in one day to make up for the days we hadn't been there. Imagine giving crayons to kids that have never seen a crayon. And imagine feeding. We feed them beans and rice. And to see that they might not have eaten for that whole week. Them enjoy that one meal. And to offer a cup of water in the name of Jesus was worth going beyond the walls. Because when we say, here I am, send me, we have to mean, here I am, send me. And so we did. We had an incredible day of ministry. We did a special needs camp there that afternoon, and then we were so excited, and we went, had lunch, and then we went and did some more ministry, and then we were going out to visit the widows. We got about 30-minute drive to visit some widows along the coast. And when we got to the coast, we got a phone call that said, you have to come home now. Mandatory evacuation. And not only do you have to come home now, it's like 5 o'clock at that time, which means we're going to be traveling overnight. One thing you don't do in Haiti is go out overnight. In the darkness breeds darkness. And in Haiti, it is super dangerous to go out at night. So when the sun begins to fall, you do not go out. And here we are getting the call that we are not only going to have to evacuate, but we're going to have to evacuate by night on the 10-hour journey home. And in that moment, we began to think, but we had our plans. And God began to whisper, but I have mine. And I want to show you a picture of what fear can... I learned so much about fear there. So if you'll go back to the picture with the guards. So because it's night, we were given these armed guards. Well, I heard we were getting guards. I was not expecting like full riot gear, SWAT team. This was our escort out of the overnight evacuation. And the thing that I also knew is these people could be for us or they could turn against us. And I learned that fear will spiral you into the what-if zone that will take you to the worst-case scenario that will make you want to curl up and just not move forward at all. And I began to, as we loaded the truck to leave, fear the what-ifs. And I'm going to tell you that in that moment, I wondered if I would ever see my family again, because I had debriefed the team that had been attacked. I had heard the details of their story. I had known what the guard or the driver told us about something in Haiti that had happened to him the week before. And so the fears of what if began to spiral into all the worst case scenarios. And we had 10 hours to get back to what was a safe place. And so the first thing I did was I was able to get one text out to Todd. And I just said, we are evacuating, emergency evacuating. And we are not sure what will become, but will you ask the church to pray? And I saw later when I got home the spreadsheet of 30 minutes throughout the night, people who signed up for times to pray us home. And I believe 100% that's what made us home. 100%. And I know the minute you guys started praying, because I felt peace that passed all understanding. Because do I believe God is who He says He is? And He will do what He says He can do, and that He is working behind the scenes. Do you believe God is who He says He is? That He will do what He says He can do? In Isaiah 43, He says, when you walk through the fire, I will be with you. See, we didn't expect this to be our story, but guess what? He was with us. And when you walk through the waters, they will not overcome you. And when people pray, God hears you. And I mean, down to the littlest little tiny miracle. I know this, I probably shouldn't share this from the stage, but I have a small bladder. And a 10-hour drive without a bathroom stop is torture. And I just knew somebody here was praying for that. I just knew. But let me tell you, I felt so strongly to encourage your heart this morning, because I imagine some of you are in a what-if spiral of fear right now in your life, where whatever circumstance that you're in the middle of, you've planned all the worst-case scenarios, and fear is a liar, because God is who He says He is, and He's doing what He says He can do. And we can run to Him with our fears, we can admit our fears, we can say, here are my fears. I wanted to say I was not afraid, but I was. That doesn't seem like the good missionary thing to say, but I was. These guys were a little extreme. I was afraid. But fear is a liar, because when I trust Psalms 91, that's what I kept going back to. Psalms 91, I'm going to read it. It says, he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. For He will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the deadly pestilence. And then verse 11, He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. Those were not our angels. The ones God had sent out through your prayers were guarding us. But let me tell you, if I had not been back here, you know what? I know God would still be good. Because when you're sitting in a vehicle knowing you're taking this overnight evacuation, and you're not sure if you'll make it home, you realize one thing you are sure of, that I believed if I died that night, I would be in the gates of glory. Because Jesus came for me, for His story. And I knew I may never see Michelle and Todd and the kids and my parents again, but I would see the face of Jesus. And I just want to encourage you that today, that no matter what refuge that you think you're walking in, God is your refuge, and He is faithful to be who He says He is. So we escorted our way back, and the minute the prayer vigil ended was the minute we arrived to safety. How cool is God? But I don't want you to get caught up in this and all the fear and the things, because I want to tell you, you may be wondering, was it worth it? Was it worth it? And I can 125% tell you yes, because God is working behind the scenes. And I love Haiti, and I love this remote village called Glade. Don't tell my family, but I want to get back there as soon as I can. So I believe it was worth it, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to show you some pictures one by one. I'm going to tell you a smidgen of their story and why it was worth it to go and to say, here I am, send me. So the first picture is precious Nini. Look at her. Look at that smile. See, in Glade and all across Haiti, people believe if you have special needs, that it's a result of voodoo, and they shunned anyone with any special needs. And our group began going in a couple of years ago and doing a camp for the special needs adults and kids, and showing that they are God's beautiful, fearfully and wonderfully made creation. And as that group began to do that, the church built a wheelchair ramp so people could get in, and people started taking care of people that they had shunned and set aside. Because God saw them, He knew them, and He loved them. And He loved Mimi, and He sent us to remind her of that. The next picture is Ramosa. Look at Ramosa. Look at that. We got to give her that umbrella. Have you ever seen such joy over an umbrella? And God saw Ramosa, He knew her, He loved her, and He sent us to remind her of that. And then the next picture, there's a Ramosa again. We gave her some jewels. She was very excited. Every girl likes her jewels, right? And then the next picture is this little boy, Mac and Love. What a name, right? Everybody wants to be named Mac and Love. This was Mac and Love. As we were doing BBS, I was passing out coloring crayons, and his sister tapped me on the shoulder, and I got a translator, and she told me, Mac and Love, his hands and his legs don't work. And she said, he's 18 years old. She was 22. She is taking care of him fully because her parents have left and are gone. And Mac and Love, she heard that there was a special needs camp for him. She carried or brought him 3 hours walking so that he could come that day and color. God saw him, knew him, and loved him. And I'll show you the next picture. And that's him coloring for the first time. As I put that marker in his hands that didn't work, God saw him, he knew him, and he loved him. The next picture is, I'm a little animated. And I had the opportunity that one day to tell the story of Daniel in the lion's den and how God shut the mouths of the lions and that we could trust God in any circumstance. That's me being a lion, if you're wondering. And I want to encourage you today, God is a God that I talked about that we can trust. And then the last picture is me bending down with Ramosa. She lives on the top of a mountain. Her 80-something-year-old mother carries her to and from this mountain to go to church. Because God sees Ramosa, knows Ramosa, and loves Ramosa. And he sent us to walk up that mountain and to bend down and look her in the eyes and remind her of that. I would do an overnight evacuation with armed guards 1,000 times over to look her in the eyes again. I would sit behind a wall with burning tires, wondering if I would see my family, to look her in the eyes again and to tell her, God sees you, he knows you, and he loves you. It was worth it to say, here I am, send me, and put my yes on the table. Because he sees them, he knows them, and he loves them. It was worth it. And I was supposed to be in Haiti today, but I believe God had that story for his glory so that I can remind you that he is your refuge and strength. Not the things that you want to find your safety in. Not your relationships, not your people, not your plan, not your bank account, not your job, not your church, even though your church is awesome. Not the way things are supposed to be. That's not your refuge and strength. Your refuge and strength is that God has gone before you and behind you. He's all around you. He says in Psalms 139, he knows you. He wrote the days that he has for you in his book. He loves you so much. He came for you. And that's what I kept thinking when we got there for that one day. At least they know we came. At least they know we came. And I want to ask you, do you know the same is true of you? That he came for you so that you can have a refuge in times of trouble. He came for you. He bent down to look in your eyes like that picture and to say, I see you, I know you, and I love you. He came for you. He came for you. And he came for you to rescue your plans and to turn them into his plans. Because our good plans are good plans. But God's good plans are amazing plans. I would not have planned to need an armed escort home, although it makes for a really exciting movie-like story. I would not have planned to spend 4 days behind walls when we had spent over $2,000 to get to those walls. I would not have planned to be the one to debrief a team of American women whose life flashed before their very eyes. I would not have planned that. But God saw us. He knew us. He loves us, and he sent us, and he is doing the same for you. And the last thing I want to remind you of is, do you really believe that? Because if you do, it changes everything. Believing that God would welcome me into heaven if that was the last moment I had here on earth, changes everything. Luke 15, this kept going through my mind as I realized I would 100% do this again, to go to Ramosa, to Mac and Love, to Nini, to the widows that we got to pray for, to the kids that got to hear about Daniel in the lion's den for one day. 10 hours, 4 days behind walls, 10 hours back, $2,000, a lot of bag tuna later. I would do it again because Luke 15 says, Jesus told them this parable. What man of you, having 100 sheep, if he has lost one of them, does not leave the 99 in the open country and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders, rejoicing. Rejoice with me, for I have found the sheep that was lost. He left 99 for one. I left America to go look in their eyes, but Jesus left heaven so that I can look at his. That should get you excited, like clapping or something, because he left heaven to walk on the streets of earth because he wanted to have you as his sheep. Because he sees you, he knows you, he loves you. And if you're in a what-if spiral of fear today, I pray this is encouraging to you to just stand on the fact God is our refuge and help, our ever-present help in times of struggle. Jesus, I just thank you. I thank you for the precious people in Lausanne, Haiti. And I thank you for the precious Greenhouse Church right here with us today. And I just pray that whatever situation of fear that my friends may have right now, that they came with, the what ifs, the I don't know how this situation is going to play out. It may not be fearing for their lives, but it may be fearing for all the things that could go wrong. Whatever spiral of fear maybe they came here with, I pray that you just whisper, I see you. I know you. I love you. I left heaven for you, and I am with you, to their hearts in a deeper way than they've ever experienced before. God, I thank you that you are the God that you say you are, and that you are with us, that your glory is being written through our stories, and we just want to put our yes on the table and say, here I am, send me, Lord. Lord, thank you that you saw my friends in Lausanne, and you see my friends today, and you are wanting to remind us you love us. You left 99 to find the one sheep, and that you want to find the ones here, and for them to know they can trust you to be their refuge and ever present help in times of need. You are good, and we just rest in that today, and I pray my friends rest in that. In Jesus' name, amen.